These 6 quiet habits are making you older without you knowing it. What if the reason you feel older isn't age at all? What if the reason you feel older isn't your age, but something much quieter? Not the number on your birthday cake, not the gray hairs or laugh lines, but the subtle, silent habits you've picked up along the way, the ones that slowly dim your light without you even noticing. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, this person doesn't look like the vibrant soul I feel inside? The truth is, we all age. But how we age, how we show up in our bodies, our energy, our presence, often has less to do with time and more to do with awareness. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a saying, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. The same could be said for aging. You are not your wrinkles. You are the vitality that lives beneath them, if only you clear away what's clouding it. In this video, we'll uncover 6 silent habits that might be making you look and feel older than you truly are, and more importantly, how to let them go. Not with judgment, but with mindfulness. Not with fear, but with grace. So stay with me, because what you'll learn could change not only how you see yourself, but how you feel in your own skin. 1. The forgotten mirror, when self-care becomes an afterthought. We often think of self-care as a luxury, something we do when we have extra time, extra energy, or something to look good for. But what if grooming wasn't about vanity at all? In Buddhist teachings, the body is not separate from the mind. When the body is at peace, the mind follows, the Buddha said. The way we care for our physical form is a direct reflection of how we care for our inner world. Let me share with you the story of Thich Minh, an elder monk revered for his wisdom and unwavering serenity. He spent his life in deep meditation, detached from worldly concerns. His teachings inspired many, and his calm presence was like still water, undisturbed, grounded. But as the years passed, his appearance began to change. His robe, once pristine, frayed at the edges. His hair grew wild, untouched by scissors or comb. He had become so devoted to stillness that he forgot to tend to the very vessel carrying him through it. One day, a young monk approached him and said, "Master, your wisdom teaches us to be present in every moment. But how can we honor the present if we neglect the body we inhabit?" That question struck him deeply. It wasn't criticism. It was an invitation, a gentle reminder that even the simplest acts, like trimming one's hair or washing one's robe, could be sacred. That caring for the body was not a distraction from mindfulness. It was mindfulness. And so, Thich Minh began again. Slowly, quietly, he made grooming part of his daily practice. Not for appearances, but for presence. Each movement, brushing his hair, folding his robe, became a moment of devotion, a ritual of awareness. You see, it's not about how others see us. It's about how we see ourselves. When we neglect our physical care, it often mirrors a deeper disconnection, an emotional fog that quietly settles in. But when we choose to honor our bodies, even in small ways, we send a powerful message. I am still here. I still matter. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time you truly cared for your physical self? Not out of pressure, but out of reverence? Even something as simple as moisturizing your skin, choosing clean, well-fitting clothes, or brushing your hair can reconnect you to the moment and to yourself. In Buddhist wisdom, the body is seen as the temple of the mind. Not perfect, not permanent, but precious. And when we care for it with love, we don't just look better, we feel more alive. Stay with me, because in the next segment, we'll explore another silent habit that may be disconnecting you from those you love without you even realizing it. 2. When the volume rises but connection fades. Have you ever found yourself talking louder than usual, only to notice the room grow quieter? As we age, changes in hearing often come gradually, almost imperceptibly. But the effects can ripple outward, touching our relationships in subtle yet profound ways. In Buddhism, speech is more than sound. It's an extension of our consciousness. Speak only if it improves upon the silence, the Buddha taught. Words are energy. They can connect or they can push away. Layla had always been the heart of every family gathering. Her laugh was infectious, her stories vivid, her presence warm like a fire in winter. But lately, something had shifted. Her voice, once soothing, had grown louder, sometimes jarringly so. Without realizing it, she began interrupting others, talking over them, trying to be heard above the noise she thought was outside, but was actually within. One evening, as her grandchildren gathered around her, her youngest grandson leaned in gently and said, "Grandma, I love hearing your stories, but today, your voice feels a little loud." That simple sentence hit her like a soft bell in a silent temple, startling and still. She hadn't meant to dominate the space. She was simply trying to connect, to stay present. But in the process, she had lost touch with the very essence of communication, presence and listening. In Buddhist practice, right speech is one of the Eightfold Path, a guide to living mindfully and compassionately. But even more important than speech is listening. Deep, undistracted, heart-centered listening. Layla realized she had been trying so hard to be heard, she had forgotten to truly hear. The next day, she made a subtle shift. She slowed her speech, softened her tone, paused to listen without planning her next words. And something beautiful happened. Conversations began to flow again, naturally, without force. Her family leaned in not because she was louder, but because she was present. You see, mindful communication isn't just about what we say. It's about how we say it, and even more, how we listen. It's about holding space for others to feel safe, heard, and seen. If you've noticed people pulling back, if conversations feel more strained than they used to, ask yourself, am I really listening? Or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? In every interaction, we have the chance to choose awareness over impulse, connection over control. Just like Layla did. Because as we age, our voice may grow softer, but our presence can grow stronger. And that kind of presence? It's unforgettable. Join me in the next part, where we'll explore another silent signal that may be aging your spirit from the outside in, through the clothes you wear. 3. When your clothes no longer fit your spirit. It doesn't happen overnight. One day you're wearing your favorite shirt, the one that made you feel sharp, alive, grounded in who you are. And then slowly, quietly, it gets pushed to the back of the closet, replaced not by something new, but by something easier. A stretched out sweater, faded pants, clothes that once fit your body and your identity now hang loosely, forgotten. In Buddhist tradition, simplicity is sacred. The Buddha wore robes not out of neglect, but intention. They were clean, practical, and free from attachment, not disconnection. That's the difference. George used to care about how he dressed, not to impress, but to express. His clothes were always neat, comfortable, and dignified. He took pride in being presentable, a small act of self-respect that grounded him each day. But as time passed, George told himself it didn't matter anymore. Why bother dressing up when no one seems to notice? The shirts became baggy, the colors dull, and the mirror unfamiliar. Then one afternoon, he bumped into an old friend at the market. With a smile, his friend said, "George, I used to love how sharp you looked. Haven't seen that blue shirt of yours in a while." It wasn't a criticism. It was a remembering. That night, George stood in front of the mirror, not out of vanity, but to ask himself a quiet question. When did I stop showing up for myself? The next day, he didn't go shopping. He didn't follow a trend. He simply chose to wear something that fit well. That felt good. That reminded him of who he was, and still is. And with that small shift, his energy returned. He walked differently, smiled more. And when people saw him, they didn't just see clothes. They saw presence. Because how we dress is not about impressing others. It's about how we honor the life we've been given, the energy we carry, the care we offer to the temple of our body. Buddhism teaches that mindfulness is not confined to the meditation cushion. It lives in every choice, in what we say, how we move, and yes, even in what we wear. So take a moment, look through your closet, but more importantly, look inward. Are your clothes reflecting who you truly are today, or who you were yesterday? Choosing garments that feel aligned, clean, and intentional isn't shallow. It's spiritual, because when we dress with self-respect, we remind ourselves and the world that we are still awake, still vibrant, still here. And in the next section, we'll explore a different kind of expression, the words we use when we feel frustrated, and how they might be slowly aging our spirit more than we realize. 4. The weight of words and the lightness of gratitude. At first, it starts as a sigh, then a sentence, a comment about how things used to be. Before long, it becomes a rhythm, a habit, a soundtrack to your days. Complaints, subtle, familiar, sometimes even justified, but heavy. In Buddhism, the Buddha warned of the suffering caused by wrong speech, not just harsh words toward others, but the energy we direct at life itself. Constant complaining doesn't just drain the room, it drains you. Suki had lived a full life. She'd raised a family, traveled the world, seen the rhythms of society change and evolve. But lately, she felt like the world was moving without her. The neighborhood was louder, technology more confusing, people less present. So she spoke of it often, how things used to be, how things had gone wrong. Not out of bitterness, but longing. Still, one day she noticed something. Her family wasn't calling as much. Her friends kept conversations short. The warmth she once felt in connection had dimmed. Sitting alone in her garden, she remembered a teaching. It's not what happens to us that matters, but how we respond. The words echoed like a breeze through the leaves. Could it be that her words, meant to express connection, were actually building walls? That day, Suki began a new practice. Each morning, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. Not grand things, just the warmth of her tea, a smile from the neighbor, the scent of the jasmine bush by her porch. At first, it felt strange, forced even. But slowly, something shifted. Her mind softened, her heart lightened, and so did her presence. When her family called, she didn't lead with a complaint. She asked how they were. She shared her joys, however small. And in return, their voices grew warmer, longer, more open. Gratitude, she realized, was a bridge, a way back into connection, not just with others, but with herself. You see, when we complain, we focus on what's wrong. And the more we focus on lack, the more lack becomes all we see. But gratitude reorients the heart. It doesn't erase pain. It expands perspective. Buddhism teaches that joy is not something we chase. It's something we remember by returning to the moment and seeing what's already here. So if you found yourself slipping into the rhythm of complaint, pause. Ask, what is still good? What have I overlooked in my rush to be disappointed? Because when you shift your attention, you shift your energy. And when your energy shifts, everything begins to change. In the next part, we'll explore how your physical posture may be speaking volumes about your inner world, and how a small change in the way you stand could transform how you feel. 5. How you stand tells the world who you are, even when you say nothing. You don't have to say a word. Before you speak, before you smile, your body already has. The way you stand, the way you move, the quiet message you send every time you walk into a room. In Buddhist philosophy, mindfulness is not limited to the mind. It lives in the body. The Buddha once said, "Let the body be steady, the mind be still." It's a call not just to meditate, but to embody presence. Sam was 75 and sharp as ever. His mind still wandered with wonder, still questioned, still learned. But his body had started to lag behind. He shuffled instead of striding. His back, once straight, now curved slightly. His gaze often dropped to the ground, not from shame, but habit. A quiet resignation that had crept in without permission. Until one evening, flipping through the Dhammapada, he read, "The fool sleeps as if he were already dead. The master is awake and he lives forever." Sam closed the book and sat still. Was he slowly sleeping, letting go of presence, just because his body had begun to change? The next morning, he made a choice. No pills, no gym membership, just intention. He stood taller. He walked with awareness. Each step was a meditation. His spine lengthened, his chest opened, his eyes met others, not out of force, but presence. And something subtle yet powerful happened. People looked at him differently. They didn't see a frail old man. They saw strength, not in muscle, but in being. Because posture is more than posture. It's the physical manifestation of inner clarity. In Buddhist practice, the way we hold the body is a reflection of our relationship with life. A slouched back may suggest we've given up. A downward gaze can signal we're shrinking inside. But when we choose to stand with dignity, we are saying, "I am here. I am still engaged. I am still alive." Try this. Right now, lift your chin. Roll your shoulders back. Take a deeper breath. Feel the shift, not just in your body, but in your energy. You don't have to be young to move with presence. You don't need to be strong to carry yourself with dignity. What you need is intention, awareness, a willingness to show up in your body, not just in thought, but in form. Because your body is not separate from your wisdom. It is your vessel, your vehicle, your quiet testament to the world that you are still walking the path, with grace, with strength, and with the full weight of your being. In our next and final segment, we'll explore one last silent signal that often goes unnoticed, yet speaks louder than we think, the scent we carry, and the sacredness of physical purity. 6. The invisible distance and the sacredness of cleanliness. Sometimes, disconnection doesn't begin with harsh words or missed calls. Sometimes, it begins with something we can't see, but can sense. As we grow older, our bodies change in ways we're not always prepared for. Breath that once went unnoticed now carries a different scent. Skin that once felt fresh may hold onto odor more easily. And yet, these shifts are rarely spoken about. But they matter, not because we must strive for perfection, but because in Buddhism, purity, both physical and mental, is a form of reverence. Cleanliness isn't about vanity. It's about presence, awareness, gratitude for the body that carries us. Frank was 78, full of stories, wit, and the kind of laughter that could lift a room. But slowly he noticed something different. People smiled less when they leaned in. Conversations didn't last as long. Friends once eager to chat now seemed to glance away. At first, he didn't understand. Until one day, his daughter gently said, "Dad, maybe try a new mouthwash. And don't forget your water." Frank blinked. He had always been diligent with hygiene. At least, he thought so. But aging had brought subtleties he hadn't noticed. Shifts in breath, in skin, in how the body processed even the most basic routines. Still, instead of feeling ashamed, he felt awakened. He began drinking more water, brushed with deeper attention, switched to a fresh shirt before heading out. Simple, mindful changes, not for others, but for himself. And something beautiful unfolded. The warmth returned. People leaned in again. Conversations lingered. Hugs were tighter. Because when we care for our bodies, we don't just respect ourselves, we welcome others. We say, "I value this space between us. I value our connection." In Buddhism, the body is called a temple not to glorify it, but to honor it. To keep it clean, not out of fear, but out of love. So pause and ask, are there small shifts you've been avoiding? Gentle habits that could realign you with presence? Because taking care of yourself in this way isn't selfish. It's service. To yourself. To those around you. To the sacred act of simply being here. Fully, mindfully, lovingly. As we close this journey through the 6 silent habits that quietly age us, let's not forget this. It's not about fighting age. It's about aging with clarity, with intention, with peace. And that is the true essence of mindfulness. Aging is inevitable, but how we age is a choice made in 1,000 quiet moments. In the way we speak, in the way we stand, in the care we give to our body, in the attention we offer to our habits. Each choice is a reflection, not of time passing, but of wisdom growing. You are not your wrinkles. You are not your slower steps. You are the presence behind the eyes, the softness in your voice, the stillness that remains even when the world rushes on. If today's video has stirred something in you, a memory, a realization, a quiet desire to live more awake, then honor it. Begin small. Trim your nails with intention. Speak with just a little more softness. Wear that shirt that makes you feel alive again. Stand taller. Listen deeper. Say thank you out loud or in silence. These are not just habits. They are pathways to peace, to self-respect, to vitality that doesn't fade with age, but grows with awareness. And if you're ready to keep walking this path, with mindfulness, with grace, with community, then I invite you to subscribe to Quiet Wisdom. Here, we don't chase youth. We awaken presence. Together. So leave a comment below. Tell me, which of these habits spoke to your heart the most? I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, be gentle, be aware, and remember, you are still becoming.